our morning show today from WRCO, it's time to talk about all of the things that we can do to maybe keep you out of a jam. Consumer protection topics for July of 2025. Michelle Ryan joins us. Michelle, here we are into July. How can that be?
Yeah, how can that be? The summer's already running away from us, and it's just gotten started.
Absolutely. Past the 4th of July, it does seem to fly, that's for sure.
It does. And July is Military Consumer Protection Month, so we always have good things to talk about in protecting those who protect us.
Indeed. So let's talk about that a little bit. Anything you want to hit on initially about military consumers?
Well, the one thing is the Federal Trade Commission has identified that they filed more than 200,000 reports in 2024, and 31,000 of those reports indicated that those consumers had lost money. Those total monetary losses were more than $584 million, and that median loss report was $700. So that's pretty significant for individuals who are, active duty service members, retired service members, veterans, and their families. We want to be sure that we're doing all we can to protect them. So we're highlighting housing-related scams and frauds that military consumers should be aware of, that specifically target them because of their unique circumstances, distinct culture, and community that they are part of.
So it seems to me that, obviously preying on those that have defended our country and whatnot, are some of these emails and texts and things like that, do they look legitimate, or how do they catch them?
Well, they certainly do. For example, the home loan scam. Many service members take advantage of the VA's home loan benefit, which may provide an opening for scammers, and that's them pretending to be representatives of the VA, another government agency, or a home loan servicer. They threaten military homeowners with foreclosures or other consequences. They demand that homeowners send money, refinance their home, agree to a loan modification, redirect mortgage payments to the scammers, or even sign over the title to their property. So warning signs is when the consumer is threatened with severe consequences if they don't immediately comply with the requester's demand, or if the organization wants to be paid with a gift card, cryptocurrency, payment app, or wire transfer, and or makes other unreasonable demands, really. And so never provide your personal information, and be alert to those email addresses and phone calls, because the caller IDs, the email addresses, it's all spoofing. That information can be faked. And so don't believe what you are seeing as that representational label from whom your communications are coming from.
What about housing rental scams?
Well, here we know many active duty service members, they live in off-base rental housing, and scammers also know this, and they advertise fake rental properties online and other discounts for members of the military. And because the service members usually can't physically visit the property until they move in, they may have already paid an application fee, security deposit, and rent before they realize the listing is even fake. So warning signs is what we have to watch for here. The too good to be true discounts for military service members, property owner demands payment before providing a tour of the unit, or a property owner claims they're moving or living elsewhere and offers to mail the home keys to a renter after receiving the payment. And here we hope that consumers seeking rental housing are skeptical of unrealistic low prices. Like if the property rent is much lower than the area's average rent pricing, be cautious. Before paying any money, try and get a real live tour. In person is best, but if you can't, ask for a live virtual tour so you can really see the date and know that it's the same day. It's not just a video of someone else's property. And then if you have to pay money down, consider using an escrow service if upfront those fees are needed, because that can help protect the releasing of the money.
Some other things that you want to add in terms of military service members or anything, Michelle?
Well, there are resources to help these members find legitimate homes, whether they're buying or renting. Platforms like Military by Owner or the Automated Housing Referral Network, AHRN, and .mil homes.mil is also a resource that can just to help these service members and veterans when they're searching for those housing resources.
Another scam spotlight I was reading about, Medicare card replacement. What can you update us as far as that goes?
Well, this is the big scam between paper versus plastic, if you will. In this case, the card is only paper. There is no plastic option. So we've heard from Wisconsin consumers that have indicated they've been contacted by scammers pretending to be the Department of Administration with the state of Wisconsin and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS. The scammers have offered to help the consumers upgrade to a new plastic Medicare card. And they've also reached out to consumers claiming that the consumer's paper Medicare card is expiring this year. But this is just a ploy to steal their private information.
Is that, would they ever contact you about doing that? Is that a legitimate thing that you need to replace your paper with plastic?
You only need to replace your card if it's lost, damaged, or compromised by a scammer. But the real Medicare cards are paper. They are not plastic. That's not an option. This is just like the other common tactics scammers use when they're trying to impersonate Medicare for assisting beneficiaries with enrolling in programs, filing paperwork, improving coverage, or finding savings. They come up with all sorts of gimmicks and reasons why they're reaching out, but a real government agency will not contact anyone by phone or to change their Medicare card.
If someone feels they're scammed, obviously they would contact DADCAP, but should they contact Medicare as well?
Yes, please do so. They need to know about the scams that are circulating, but they can also provide you with confidence and verification that this is a scam. And so you can reach them at 1-800-633-4227.
I understand recently DADCAP has been aware of several scams impersonating state and municipal government agencies. What would you like to say about that this month?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have become aware of several different scams impersonating state and municipal governments in our location, in the state of Wisconsin. We talked about the Wisconsin Department of Administration and Medicare being impersonated, but DADCAP's also been impersonated by scammers who've sent fraudulent messages to our licensees, specifically for the meat processing establishments, asking them to renew their licenses by providing private information. And it appears the scammers use publicly available data on individuals and businesses to send those emails and target individuals. We've heard about and talked about the Wisconsin DOT being impersonated, but the latest version of that is fake text messages being sent to Wisconsin consumers claiming that they had to pay for unpaid traffic violations or risk additional fees and legal consequences. And again, that was fake information. The prior attempts had been related to toll messages being sent across the state. And then in recent weeks, we've heard from the city of Green Bay and city of Monona where scammers were using convincing but fake email addresses, graphics, and real license and public meeting information and asked permit holders to send permit payments by wire transfer. And so we just want to be sure consumers are aware when we talk about these government imposters, it's not always the big, well-known federal governments. It could be your local municipality that's being impersonated. So you do need to verify and double-check things. So always double-check the contact information. In the city of Green Bay imposter situation, they really messed with the email address to make it look very legitimate. It looked like it was coming from an @cityofgreenbay.wi.gov, but the real city's email address ended in @greenbay.wi.gov. So just adding a couple words, City of Green Bay, who's going to question that when that's where you live? So be sure you know the extensions and actual information for your municipality. And then question, should you be contacted? Have I reached out recently? Have I applied for something? Did I have a traffic violation in the municipality? And then if you believe it's true, contact the government entity using a legitimate email or phone number that you can confirm, or just walk down or drive down to your local municipality to question things, and never send any money or information before you validate that it's legitimate.
The month of July is a big month for summer travel for all of us. Do you have any tips for us?
Oh, so many tips. So many tips. We all can experience bumps in the road when traveling, and we want consumers to be aware of what resources are available to them if issues occur with their mode of transportation. There are so many options when booking lodging or activities for the vacation that you need to always be mindful of the fake listings on legitimate website platforms and research reviews of a hotel or short-term housing rental, travel service, or tourist activity. But if you haven't done all that research up front, at least know what your resources are before you go. And there are resources when traveling by plane, renting a vehicle, a cruise trip, train travel, or even international travel.
What can you give us some examples as far as airlines and things we should be aware of?
Absolutely. For example, what will an airline do if they overbooked a flight, or what will they provide to consumers affected by a last-minute delay or cancellation? And we hear about these types of things in the news all the time, that they're happening because of weather delays. But airline consumers have rights that are protected by federal law and are protected by airlines companies' policies. And to learn more about these rights and compare what commitments different airlines have made on a variety of passenger issues, you can go to the U.S. Department of Transportation. Visit them at www.transportation.gov/airconsumer. That's going to be your best resource for air travel. But when renting a vehicle, there's so many options available to renting a vehicle. You can go to a traditional car rental company or car share platforms. You need to know cancellation policies, whether or not you want an infotainment system, what are those extra fees and charges and rental policies to navigate. And so you can consider a number of different resources here. The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC's online guide called Rent a Car at consumer.ftc.gov. DADCAP has a fact sheet on car rentals and collision damage waivers. And then there's the Better Business Bureau has an article on car rental tips, rent a car and be happy. And you can find that at bbb.org.
Yeah, I was curious about that because we had an experience with that. My wife and I flew into an airport and had rented a car. We got there and they said, no, we're all out of cars, and I don't know if you have a leg to stand on in that situation.
Right. And when post-COVID, with the surge in travel and rental car companies had gotten rid of so many vehicles, that was a huge issue. And you still hear about it from time to time. So you want to navigate and know what you can do up front, anticipate things, and figure out what your plan B is should you encounter one of these situations. And oftentimes, if you book things with a credit card, you may have extra protections with your credit card as well, because maybe there's traveler's insurance tied to that.
And you always have, it's kind of a catch-22 about signing the damage waivers or, should I buy extra insurance and those kind of things. And that can be kind of daunting to think about too, can it?
It can be, and so you want to look at that fact sheet that DADCAP has about car rentals and collision damage waivers. And while most of the information is applicable to renting a vehicle in our state, it will raise the same questions you need to confirm and verify if you are in another state renting a vehicle.
What about cruise trips?
Well, we know they're incredibly popular vacation options, and so before embarking, passengers should be aware of the cruise line's obligations, and they vary by different cruise line and your passenger rights. And most cruise lines are members of the Cruise Lines International Association, which has adopted passenger rights, including refunds if a trip's canceled due to mechanical failure, an emergency power source in case of main generator failure, and timely updates if an emergency causes an itinerary change, and so much more. But information's available from the Federal Maritime Commission's Cruise Passenger Assistance webpage, and you can just go there and file a complaint if you need to. But you should know that the jurisdiction is limited to cruise lines that embark passengers at locations in the United States. There is no federal agency that regulates cruise customer service issues outside the U.S., so cruises that embark at an international location are not subject to the FMC's jurisdiction. So that's something where you're going to want to look at your credit card protections or your traveler's insurance to how you might be impacted should there be bumps in the road for your cruise travels.
A lot of people are taking the train and the rails these days, Michelle.
Yes, they're very popular alternatives to airline and car trips. And, you know, it's scenic, it's leisurely, it's comfortable accommodations. There's even onboard dining here, but long train rides don't have to be simply that form of transportation. It can be the vacation itself. Amtrak is the only nationwide passenger rail service, and it has 10 customer service commitments covering safety, delays, accommodations, and refunds. So for any customer service issues on Amtrak passenger trains or to request a refund, you need to deal with Amtrak directly, or of course you can always contact Consumer Protection here. But you can go to Amtrak.com and you'll want to research all that information up front so, again, you can navigate quickly.
International travel, that's a whole nother subject, isn't it?
It is. And it's probably way too much information for us to talk about today. But again, we do have resources for people. They're usually not able to be directly impacted by U.S. government entities, international transit methods. However, the U.S. Department of State offers tips and resources for Americans traveling internationally so you can help prepare for your trip. So go to travel.state.gov. Some of the tips you're going to find there will cover national travelers checklists. You'll find driving and road safety tips, access to emergency information, travelers insurance information that should be considered for international travel, and other resources like lodging safety, traveling with pets, studying or volunteering abroad, and so much more. So again, go to travel.state.gov to access all that additional information for international travel.
Tariffs have been in the news a lot lately. What can you tell us? Any update there?
Well, they have been in the news lately, and these tariff conversations are real and legitimate, and recent activity has provided scammers with this new opportunity to target consumers and businesses with fake messages and payment requests. And we've seen that throughout time, and especially during COVID when information was changing. So by impersonating a government agency, a shipping delivery company, an importer, scammers may contact consumers and small businesses with a claim that they must pay a tariff or provide private information before a product they bought can be delivered. Now, if the consumer provides their personal or payment information, they could lose their money and be at risk of identity theft. So we've talked in the past about shipping and delivery scams and fake toll fee scams. We anticipate these fake tariff scams are going to be very similar. Be aware of unpaid tariff text messages, emails, and phone calls, and avoid opening any links or attachments.
Interesting. Good stuff. I think we've covered a lot of ground here this month, haven't we?
We have had a ton of stuff because of current events, current conversations, a good, consumer protection month, and then just consumers being active over the summer months. So we want to keep everyone happy and safe from these scammers during the month. So call Consumer Protection if you have any questions or concerns. You can reach us at the hotline 1-800-422-7128 or go to our website at datcp.wi.gov.
Again, we always hope to keep somebody out of a jam, and we don't want people to lose their hard-earned money, do we?
No, we absolutely want to keep it in their pocketbook so they can enjoy it in whatever manner they desire.
Michelle Ryan, an administrator with Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection on today's morning show. Michelle, well, we'll talk to you in August then.
That sounds great. You take care.
You bet. Thanks for joining us here on the morning show.